Hey guys, welcome back here with another video. And in this video I'll be showing a way where you could practice how to draw anatomy and figures. I mean, this goes for everything, kind of like this method here I'm about to show. It's pretty much the method that's always been used to improve, which is just the type of repetition. But here I'm showing it in this specific way because I think it tackles many different aspects of the practice process, right? So you could see here these type of notebooks, right? Just regular dollar notebooks. Like I got these for $1 from my store, which is cheap because a regular sketchbook is about like at least $5, especially for 100 pages. You know, like if you're gonna have a sketchbook full of practice, right? It's not gonna be pretty. So I aim to get the cheapest paper I can, which would be something like this. It's the cheapest available. And this one here I got lucky. I got 120, and this was here like I was able to buy 2 for $1, and this was years ago. This notebook here is from probably 2021, I think. But so this process here that I used was like I would draw each face, and each face would take like around like 2 to 3 or maybe even 4 minutes, right? And I would just draw over and over, get as many faces as possible. And I remember the first time when I started this method, right? Sometimes funny stuff would end up happening, like this face over here. But I remember doing this method. I remember like filling up a quarter of this notebook in like 2 days, right? So that's like what, 40 pages, and it's like this is like a couple of hours of work. You could fill up a good portion of the notebook with it, you know. And it's just you just keep going and you fill up most of it, you know, and you just keep going. And the great part about this is that after a while, you will see the process. You know, you will see that the process has paid off and that you could, you know, draw with more ease. What I'm going to go over here is I want to show you the method and how I do it. And I'll just show you like how I do it. Yeah. So I got a page open on my computer. So like I opened a page on Pinterest, right? And I made like a bunch of reference posts. I opened a Pinterest board, right? Or you could just do this off of Google, right? And you know, just get a bunch of references, or maybe you could download references or whatever. But the reason why I won't show the page is because I don't know what it will do for like the copyright thing, like if I show images that aren't mine on my YouTube channel. So what I do is, you just gotta trust me on this. So I got a page open and it's just a bunch of figures, right? And each figure is like a different movement. And so I got about, let me see, like 20 to 30, right? And I'm just gonna go through them, and each one I'm gonna draw in like, I'll try not to spend more than 4 minutes on it. All right. So right now we're hitting the 3-minute mark. I'm gonna draw the first figure. I'm just gonna look at it. It's to my side, right? And I'm just gonna sketch it right away on here. So it's a guy standing up with his arms out, right? So I'm just gonna draw the chest first, right? And his arms are stretched out, so that means the abdominals will also be, the ribs will stretch out also. All right, let me close up on it so it's easier to see. Oh no, phone almost went flying. All right. So right here you can see, like I'm kind of thinking about it in terms of how the human body is a machine, you know? And that's what you want to do while you're doing this process. So I'm going to come back to this. Okay. And what you want to do here is you're like drawing things that you find interesting. So if you find a specific movement interesting, right, you just want to do that. And you see how it's just simple, being like just sloppy and, you know, just keeping it simple, right? You want to just learn, you want to just pay attention. And the guy is standing, so that like here has weight on it. And that leg here was kind of going backwards. All right, see, that wasn't too hard, and that took about a minute, right? Now I kind of got the basic structure down, and I got the feeling for the body, right? He's kind of has this weight going down here, and that leg was like he was just standing on it like that. Now let me start another figure here, and I'll draw it smaller. So I got a guy, he's just standing, right? Just looking that way. And the shoulder looks very interesting in the picture. And the way it connects to the chest. Because the reference picture is a wrestler. Alright, so that's 2 references on this page. I won't draw on the back of the pages just for the video's sake, right? Because the lines might appear through with the light bouncing on. It's gonna be hard to see. I'll pick another reference, and this time it's a lady, and she's holding a gun. And we kind of see the view from the. It's like it's a worm's eye view. And she's holding this arm to the side and it's coming forward. And then the other arm is going back, so we're kind of having this circular motion. Then the body's straight here, goes straight down, because her arm is going kind of behind and it's aiming that way. So we're kind of seeing the gun go that way. And then her waist is going that way, but the upper body's going that way. And she's also wearing a cowboy hat in it. I don't really see the legs in the picture that well, but I'm assuming they're more evenly weight distributed, right? Yeah. Then there's a picture of some guy. And he's just resting on something. So this arm that he's resting with, you can see the shoulder kind of pop up and the tricep is popping. And then that forearm begins to like pop also. And because it's resting on like some kind of a surface, the hands kind of spread out. That chest pops a little more that way. That chest is more relaxed. And then the shoulder kind of just goes down. So yeah, that was the interesting part in the picture. Now let me move on to the next picture. Some guy that kind of looks like Spider-Man. And I'm going to draw small this time just so I could feel. It's a different feeling when you draw small than when you draw big. Because it gets you to try to imagine if you're really drawing the figure correctly. Because if you could imagine if it can fit in your head, right? So if you can project an image from your head onto the paper in a limited amount of space, then you're probably imagining it to the best of your ability. Alright. I'll do another one, another small one. Do it over here. So yeah, this is a method where I think we've already done how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in less than 10 minutes, right? And of course I have, you know, a good amount of experience drawing this type of stuff. But I would say, like, even if you're a beginner and you're doing this and you truly limit the time frame that you're spending drawing, and you just keep drawing as many as possible, you will improve. Now I'll move on to one where I'm trying to find more that look interesting. One that looks very different. So there's this one, it's more of a static one, but it's a posture that's unique. The guy is writing while he's looking down, so the head force is acting on it this way. He's looking down, we can't really see the eyes. We can see the side of the cheek and the head, and we kind of see the top of the ear. Then we see the spine, we see that bump over here from that vertebrae, and that's the top shoulder. And so the thing about practicing these types of poses here is that you can be as good at anatomy, you know, as you want to be. But if you're not good at drawing movement in a figure, right, or a series of shapes and making it look natural, it doesn't matter how much anatomy you know, it just won't look right, right? And sometimes you can just add the face if you want. You know, this face here looked a little interesting. Kind of looks similar to the face of the girl I'm drawing right now. But, and I think she's some kind of a figure skater. Like, the figure skating is the one on ice, right? Yeah, I think so. That hand's kind of just foreshortened. It looks funny. Got one here of a composer. Looks pretty cool. Kind of looks like a wizard. Let me do one more for this page. So we just got a guy sitting down. You know, sitting down for such a boring pose, it's hard to draw, right? And I think you should always start with the surface. Just draw the surface first, and kind of its perspective. So right now, that surface is kind of on the horizon line, and you would always draw the butt first, right? So the way the leg is on the chair matters the most when you're drawing a person sitting. Ah, see, kind of messed it up and it's off the page a bit. But the guy is leaning back in the picture, and he's kind of relaxed. Oh crap. So you see how like this is very sloppy work, but in your head you're building up ways to analyze and ways to feel space on paper and transfer thought from your head to the paper. And so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 figures in less than 20 minutes, right? Imagine if you're really rendering a figure out, right? And doing all that, you're gonna like do 2 in 10 minutes, right? So you have to just speed up the rate at which you're drawing and just keep on drawing. That's really what matters, right? So there's a picture here of a guy just swinging a knife. So I'm gonna do this really quick. His arm is kind of just moving with the knife. Fast, right? And you want to keep that in mind. Like when you're drawing these figures, you want to keep that energy. See how when you draw it bigger, it really is easier. I recommend, like, if you're a real beginner, keep stuff big. This one looks interesting. All right, last video. I mean, last pose. And you know what? We'll just draw it in here. I don't think it's hard to see through. I mean, I don't think the see-through of the page is gonna make the video look weird or anything. And yeah, when you're doing figures, you're gonna run out of more pages, of course, than when you're just doing portraits. And I would say this is the method that got me to improve the most. Like before I was doing this all the time when I was younger, and by younger I mean like probably like a year or 2 ago. Like before I was doing this, I felt like it was very difficult to improve just because of the volume of work I wasn't doing was not enough. The volume of work you do has to be enough. And it's got to be enough that your brain, you know, kind of like feels like you've been doing a lot. Just because you spend a lot of time on something doesn't mean you're going to get good at it. You have to do, it's like frequency, you know? If you spend a lot of time on one thing, it's not going to be as good as if you spend a lot of time on many things. And in this case, it's many things, right? It's many different figures. It's not just one figure. Because if you just practice one figure 1,000 times, you're just going to get good at that one. Like, you know that Bruce Lee quote? If I don't fear the man who practices 1,000 kicks, but I practiced the man who I fear the man who practices 10,000 kicks one time. No, 1,000. One kick 1,000 times, right? And in this case, it's kind of the opposite, where you want to practice every single figure, right? Because the figure is the human body, and it moves a lot. It's not just one thing, it doesn't have just one purpose, like certain things have one purpose, but the human body has many, and it's the main purpose is movement, but it's movement in many different ways, right? Let's do one last one. And so when you're drawing like limbs, you see how I just draw them in one shape? I don't do that line thing, right? Or some people I know, if they're drawing this arm, they'll just draw a line in that connector. And in my opinion, I do not like that because it reminds me of when I used to do sculpture, when I used to want to sculpt, right? And I used to just use wires, right, for the sculpture in the beginning. And when I would use wires and then I would measure out these limbs and everything, and then I would start covering them in clay, everything begins to shorten. Because when you just have the skeletal structure, if you like look at a skeleton, if you look at a human body and remove all the skin and bones, skin and muscle and all of that, and you're left with the skeleton looks taller visually, right? It looks lankier than if you have everything on it, right? So it's the same thing. People tend to not draw these lines as long enough, and so when they start drawing the muscle and the tone on top of it and everything, right, the figure will begin to look shorter. And so I recommend just trying to, think about stuff in the correct shapes. Just draw the shape. If you get used to it earlier on, it's just better. And so when you think about the leg is kind of like this triangular figure. It's around a triangular prism if you think about it. It's got all these like, what are they called? It's like got all these muscles on the top and then flatter muscles on the bottom. It's rounded out, yeah, but it's more of a triangular round shape. Alright, and that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I know this video seems very simple and it seems like it's like very time consuming to watch and see me draw all these figures, but when I tell you this really helped me out a lot, and this is one of the main reasons that I can draw the way I do today, I really mean it. Like this method will help you out. Limit the time you draw each picture and draw many pictures, as many as you can. Therefore, you expose yourself to so many different types of poses and so many different types of interactions between the figure and the space it's in, and you'll begin to just get used to it and understand it more. You shouldn't be spending your time like on just one picture and call that practice. It's not. That's a project. That's an assessment. That's not practice. Practice is when you experience the full range, and it goes for everything else. Like this here is just figures, right? And I showed you the other notebook, it was mainly portraits and stuff, but towards the end of the notebook it was figures also. But yeah, you could just use this method for almost everything, from portraits to figures to anatomy to all of that. And so this here's just figures, and it incorporates anatomy, of course, because let's say if I didn't know anatomy as well as I do, like I wouldn't have drawn that bulge here for that tricep, right? Because over here you really have that shoulder carrying that arm up, right, and it's swinging it back, you kind of have this back muscle over here. You got this trap pulling the arm up. You got this tricep here pulling that, pulling the elbow. You're gonna have that here. You have all these muscles in the forearm, and then it connects into the wrist joints. So yeah, it all leads back to each other and everything connects. So if you do this method for everything, from anatomy to portraits to figures, you're gonna get good. And incorporate some perspective somewhere along the line, and you'll be good. I hope this video helped. If you got any questions, leave them below, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.